At a recent Property Council lunch, former Senator and Australian Ambassador to the US, Arthur Sinodinos, laid out a clear message. The geopolitical environment is shifting quickly, and the flow-on effects for Australia, and especially Western Australia, are a lot more direct than most people realise. So he said that the world is moving away from the globalisation model that dominated the last 30 years, and supply chains are being rebuilt around trusted allies rather than low-cost providers. For WA, this opens many doors. As Sinodinos pointed out, the reorganisation of supply chains is already creating opportunities for countries like ours, particularly in industries where trust, stability and proximity to partners matter more than just price alone. A build-up of defence assets in an uncertain world is also happening, with Western Australia central to many plans. AUKUS is the clearest example of that. With Virginia-class submarines already rotating through WA, it's clear we need a much larger, long-term industrial base. Several numbers from the keynote and roundtable illustrate the scale. First, about 200 Australian Submarine Corporation workers are already in Hawaii training on nuclear subsustainment, and that number is expected to hit 500 by 2030. Second, for every one defence job, modelling shows there's around 1.7 extra local jobs that are created in the community. Third, a nuclear submarine contains around 10 million parts compared to 2.5 million in the space shuttle, which just shows how deep the supply chain opportunity is for WA. And lastly, Defence Housing Australia is planning to double its stock of houses in the region, growing from 600 to 1,200 homes. What this means for commercial real estate in WA is straightforward. Long-term workforce growth, increased demand for services, and decades of supporting industries needing land, premises and infrastructure. The Southern Corridor, Rockingham, Kwinana, Cockburn, Henderson, is at the centre of this, and the numbers coming out of the roundtable reinforce just how quickly pressure is building. The City of Rockingham's mayor indicated the city is already growing at 3.5% per year, with 14 people a day moving to the area. Their strategic centre is larger than the entire city of Perth, and their high-density plans account for 16,000 new dwellings. These pressures were there before AUKUS, and they will only accelerate now. All of this sits on top of industrial land shortages that were already at critical levels. Western Power lead times for power upgrades are now a bottleneck for industrial projects, and there was a strong message from industry: unless infrastructure is brought forward proactively, delivery timelines will keep slipping. Sinodinos also spoke about productivity and execution. In his words, delivering AUKUS and the energy transition requires a national mobilisation, the kind of effort that Australia hasn't really attempted since World War II. That means faster approvals, better coordination between all levels of government, and much closer collaboration between industry, universities and the defence sector. That matters because population follows jobs and commercial demand follows population. The Southern Corridor, Rockingham, Kwinana, Cockburn, Baldivis and Wellard and the areas around Henderson will feel this first. You'll see more pressure on housing, more demand for retail and services, and more interest in medical, childcare, training and mixed-use space as workforce numbers grow. Remember, we aren't just housing Australians. There are an estimated 2,000 US families coming in over the next decade as well. Industrial land will stay tight because it's already oversubscribed, and the planning and infrastructure needed to open up new supply isn't really keeping pace. For commercial real estate, I expect demand to rise steadily in areas servicing the defence workforce, industrial activity and population growth. If we look at the Metropolitan Region scheme, we can see that the two main industrial activities in the area, AUKUS and Westport, are going to be supported by a lot of industrial land, shown in purple and white, with lots of bush forever sites, shown in green, to be providing buffers to the residential, which is shown in orange. Therefore, the markets that I mainly deal in, retail, childcare, health and mixed-use assets, should all benefit, but at a bit of a distance to the action along the coast. The population centres that are closer to and straddling the freeway, such as Wellard, Baldivis, Success and up through Beeliar, are likely to be the main winners from a town centre perspective. The other main beneficiary will be Rockingham itself, where the Rockingham Strategic Centre Plan has almost been approved to allow the City of Rockingham to support more of those uses, including more high-density residential, education, retail and other uses, to make it a true city centre capable of supporting AUKUS and Westport.